visit Anita. You weren't nice that day either. Just because I was bare butt naked when I went up the block.
And she was.
So I hope, Mom, you'll enjoy your day, and I actually hope you and your guests will actually remember it tomorrow. So for those of you that are not Canadian, Chapleau here, you see how far above the Great Lakes it is?
What is the Great Lakes?
Well,
Way above.
1,000 miles from New Jersey to Toronto, and then another 500 miles up to Chapleau. So it's about 1,000 miles in the middle of freaking nowhere.
I'm still the center of Chapleau. Just be careful.
Okay. Well, Cheryl just spoke. So to give you an idea about Chapleau, if they wanted to go paint the double yellow lines down the middle of Main Street, first they'd have to make it wider than one horse. Then they'd have to pave it. The town got its start from a railroad town. This would be my grandfather, came that would be your great-grandfather. And the reason that they needed the town of Chapleau was because they needed a place where the railroad, the Canadian Pacific Railroad, would come in 8 hours from nowhere to nowhere, change stamp, and then drive another 8 more hours out of there.
To nowhere.
So basically, she grew up in the 8 hours from the middle of nowhere.
In every direction?
The whole town was 3 avenues wide, 10 blocks long, and now you're on the other side of town. We have the very famous Horseshoe Bridge. Very few towns in the whole world have a horseshoe bridge. So if only a few had it, how come Chapleau had it? Was it such a really good idea?
My mother said it's because everybody else was not stupid enough to know.
There's one right in Jersey City.
So some general statistics. Chapleau has, this is a true number, precipitation approximately 168 days a year, which means that something falls from the sky about every other day. No wonder they're a little depressed up there. The coldest recorded temperature, 58 degrees below zero, and the record snow in 1 year was 109 inches or 9 feet.
Set the road in or out of town.
When Violet was little, Saturday night bath was a big deal. As years went by and progress made its way to Chapleau, the new modern conveniences were adopted. As the plumbing came in and Violet came out, this was her first house. Now back then, the snow and cold could only give you problems up there that no one in this country or century could ever even begin to dream about. Sharing the bathroom with her sisters was quite a feat. Mom, Winnie, Shirley, nope, Shirley's the youngest.
Guess
Winnie, Olive, Eva. And they wonder where I get my sense of fashion from. Now you know why I dress like I do. But no wonder, look at the mall where they all shop. By then we were wider than one last Notice that this building, with the modern conveniences, is the same as when cars were invented. So that's the same streetcar corner. So by now we had all the luxuries. Mom actually moved into a real house. This would be Grandma Nixon, I believe my mother, in about 1922. And of course, all the kids on the block had a pet, and my mother was no different living in Chapel. Mom, I'm your favorite daughter. I thought the outhouse one would get the Mom never did like to cook, and the Americans, you're really hearing that now. Because for 90 years she hasn't liked to cook. But when Grandma Nixon said, you need to help with dinner, Mom did her part, which included staying out of the kitchen.
What are they?
What are they? These will be the pheasants, and these will be the series that you just ate. So,
That was pheasant and fish.
right.
Partridge.
Partridge, yeah.
Well, going back to our horseshoe bridge, which no longer exists in Chapel because they smartened up and tore it down. But my mother had to go over that bridge to get to school. And this would be the Chapel schoolhouse. Barbara mentioned already that Aunt Wynne, Louise and Ted, who are here today, their mom, was my mother's sister, a teacher, and so she had to call her Miss Nixon. And by the way, the class valedictorian had both the highest and lowest average. So this would be one side of the bridge going up.
That's a water plant.
Yes, it is. And this would be the side on the other side.
No, I remember that.
So now,
Yeah, that looks familiar.
I have to get this picture.
Both Vi and I were riding our bikes down there on the gravel, and we both went head over the boat.
I
No.
And we still have our...
You better be quiet, Aunt Cheryl.
You know what? I know about that, and I have photographic evidence of that fall. However, you saw the bridge going up on one side, here's the bridge going up and down on the other side, so I have to really get this straight. And my mother told my daughter, quote, I walked to school in 6 feet of snow, 30 degrees below zero, uphill both ways. She didn't know she was coming or going, and she was flying. And now you know that she already fell coming across that bridge. There was someone there with a camera. Now, it wasn't a cell phone because they weren't invented. In fact, I don't even know if phones were invented then. So he had one of those cameras with the black thing over it, with the big and he took your picture during that fall. Now, for those of you that are squeamish, this is a little graphic.
Oh, you're a rock.
Remember that itch? The younger sister was too young. So there were 3 ways to travel through Chaplow. One was the 100-mile dirt road that I sat in the back seat of the car to get there, with the 2 of them smoking like chimneys. But once you arrived, you could get around through the very common dog sled team, or by train. Now, where else but Chaplow do they put Christmas lights on locomotives? So while most kids go to camp with their camp counselors and do sports, not Violet's kids, we travel to the world-renowned vacation spot of the world, Nicholson. Now, Nicholson has all the amenities. After all, a taxi cab met us at the train station. And that's a list to our 5-star camp. And these are real pictures, ladies. So Nicholson is now a bona fide ghost town. So if any of you have nothing better to do and want to Google Nicholson
Shayla.
Ghost Town,
Summer
Ontario, you will get these. So in the 1940s, Mom had to leave Chaplow. There was some inherent problems there. If she wanted to date any boys, they were all her girlfriends' boyfriends because there were only 3 of them in the whole town. So she got on the train train and never looked back, and on September 9th, got on the train and never looked back, and we still have Christmas lights on the locomotive. And in at 1300 Palisades Avenue, Union City, the ahead of her time, ultimate world famous destination wedding took place. You were ahead of your time. Travel to the wedding to Union City.
But they got married in Toronto. You screwed up.
At home.
St.
No,
Margaret's
that
Church
was
in
the
New
announcement.
Toronto.
Oh, I was confused.
You said never look back.
See, they never really got
Right.
married. Now
Oh.
you disappear off the photograph.
You know, it's the same thing.
That's it.
Cover her ears. I was not even a gleam in my father's eye.
In New Toronto?
Okay, so
That was
world
their-
destination,
They're at home.
Toronto.
That was
You didn't read correctly,
I did
Kathy.
not. I saw this and got all excited. They got married in Union City.
Kathy, you weren't listening to my speech.
So, in the 1960s, my father came home with a doozy of a surprise. See, it seems he and Grandpa Bauman, my father and Grandpa Bauman, decided that they would cook up a scheme and give us a summer place. Now, only the rich and famous had summer places back in 1962. So what was the catch? That's when they got married, sorry. The catch was, Mom had to cook! She became the short order cook at the stand, and just think, people had to pay to eat your food! I think the stand stayed open for 24 hours because the Society for Prevention of Cruelty to the Paying Public shut it down. What the hell was my father thinking? While living here, we lived only 2 miles from cousin Jim Mertz, who Barbara also forgot. Where's Jim? Back here.
Over here.
Jim and Doris and Joe and cousin Bob. And for the Americans, I'm going to have to let a family secret out of the closet right now. How many of the Americans know that my mother used to drive a car? Not too many. You did know. My mother did have a driver's license.
Uh-oh, she's looking at you. Kathy, you're disowned.
A 1963 Rambler. I think 6 of us knew she could drive. And I have a vivid memory at age 6 in the back seat of the car being told, "Shut up and don't breathe." That's your mother. You can't make any noise while she's driving.
And that's the God-honest truth.
And I used to think, God, I hope we get to Jimmy's house soon because I got to let my air out. So in closing, I'd like to say happy birthday to my mother and to my daughter Jamie. And finally, I hope that the memories of your party are in your brain for many years to come.
Along with the potatoes and the green beans.
On March 3rd, Mom came to visit. And that you all remember this longer than the next 5 minutes.